guys, not every leg day is glute focused, and that's completely fine. 20 minutes of glute activation. It does have underlying tones of a bit of misogyny and like, oh, these poor women, they don't know what they're doing, they need educating. Hello, first video of 2022. I'm excited. I'm going to kick it off with a fitness video. However, I did actually ask on Instagram if people wanted this video or a video all about face app and face tune, because that's another thing that I am very passionate about. You know, the fakery of social media, especially because like it is part of my job. I'm very interested in it. I'm interested in the research behind it all that sort of stuff. But people wanted this video in more demand, so I'm doing this one first, and I will do the face up and face tune one at some point. But yeah, today's video is very simple. I'm gonna do 5 things, maybe more, that, you know, are just like fitness trends I think we should just leave in 2021. You know, it's like the 4th of Jan today. We need to just get rid of these fitness trends, in my opinion. This is going to be a light-hearted video. It's not too deep. I'm not going to be, you know, nasty or cruel in this video. If that's what you came for, then I'm sorry, but you're going to be bitterly disappointed. That's not my vibe. I'm opinionated, but I'm fair, and I'd never sit and roast someone. So I have my notes on my phone because I can't apparently think without having notes here. So first thing that I personally would like to see us leave in 2021, because it's still not left, it's still hanging around on TikTok in particular, is 20 minutes of glute activation. A 20-minute warm-up where you're doing dynamic stretches, some mobility work, you're doing a bit of, you know, practicing body weight versions of the movements you're going to do in your session, warming up properly. Fine, but 20 minutes of banded glute activation work is so unnecessary. You don't need to turn your glutes on. Just doing a normal warm-up will be absolutely fine. There is a difference between mechanical tension, which is one of the key drivers of hypertrophy, and feeling it in a muscle. Now, for some reason we appear to treat glutes differently than we do other muscle groups. So people will say, oh, when I'm doing heavy hip thrusts, you know, I don't feel it. This all kind of ties into glute activation. I don't really feel it when I'm doing heavy hip thrusts in my glutes. You'd never finish doing like a set of like low rep high weight squats and be like, oh, I didn't really feel that in my quads, because you are focusing more on the neurological side of things rather than the mind muscle connection. Don't get me wrong, mind muscle connection is going to play a role to an extent in your progress in building muscle. I'm not saying it's not important at all. I'm just saying it's not the be all end all. And if you are not feeling your glutes in movements, I can probably bet, I'm not going to say in 100% of cases, but in the vast majority of cases that I've seen from coaching clients, it's not because they're not doing glute activation before their sessions. It's because their form is either, it needs tweaking slightly. So if you're doing something like a reverse lunge, it might be that, you know, their torso's more upright, they're taking a narrower step back, which means that they're not going to be engaging their glutes as much because of the way that they've set the movement up. They're going to be doing more quads, which is fine if that's what they want, but if they're wanting more glutes, you're going to want to lean more forwards, have a wider stride back, all that sort of stuff. That's going to have a bigger impact on your progress than whether or not you did 20 minutes of banded work at the start. Not to mention the fact that if you are doing 20 minutes of like banded work on your glutes before you go into your main lift, it's counterproductive to what you're trying to achieve if you are trying to build muscle, because you are expending so much energy and tiring your glutes out quite significantly before you've even gone into the lifts and the movements that are going to be the key drivers of your growth in terms of the training side of things. Obviously nutrition is a whole different ball game, but yeah, I would just like to see 20 minutes glute activation band circuits left in 2021. Of course, if you enjoy doing these things, by all means go ahead, but I would like to see the making out of them as being like absolutely necessary and the reason why your glutes aren't growing if they aren't growing. That's the trend that I would like to see pass away on the glute activation front. Warm up, just do your dynamic stretches, your mobility work if you need to be working on that. do some bodyweight versions of the movements that you're going to go into, do some warm-up sets of your lifts. That will be sufficient for a warm-up. You don't need to do 20 minutes banded glute work before a session. I promise your glutes will still grow if you stop doing that. And you'll probably actually find that you can lift a lot more in your sessions, and therefore you'll be seeing more progress, trust me. Point number 2 is again kind of specific to TikTok, which is tagging at Jpgcoaching underneath every single person's workout videos. And you know what? My For You page is probably biased because I engage more with women's fitness content than I do men's, so I have to be honest, maybe I just don't see it on men's, but I see him tagged under people's videos way more when it's women, and it's never even men tagging this at Jpgcoaching. Sometimes it is, but in the vast majority of cases it's actually other women tagging Jpgcoaching. Now, I have nothing against him, his content's good, he comes up on my For You page all the time. I've used his content, I've utilised some of his tips, I think his content is good. This is nothing against him personally, but when it's getting to the point where people are scared to post a workout in case he duets it because people start, you know, spamming the comments by tagging him, I think we need to look at ourselves and think maybe it's time to stop tagging him. I don't know who died and made him the be-all and end-all CEO of fitness, but he's not. And he even admits this himself, you know, people will tag him in things saying he is my gospel, and he'll be like, you need to do your own research on top of my stuff, which I really admire about him, that he does encourage his followers to go and do further research and not just take what he says as gospel. Yeah, because of the kind of content that I see him getting consistently tagged under, for me personally, it does have underlying tones of a bit of misogyny and like, oh, these poor women, they don't know what they're doing, they need educating. You can't trust that a woman knows what she's doing and the tips that she's given is useful without having it verified by a man. I don't really particularly like that. That is something that I would like to see. I wouldn't like to see his account die. I wouldn't like to see him, you know, fall off the face of the earth. I wish him all the success. I just want to stop seeing him commented under every single workout video that I see on my For You page, particularly from the girlies. I just think, let's give it a rest. Let's give it a rest. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel like this stemmed from Jpgcoaching's content, but it's not just his, it is other people's, is everything having to be optimal for glutes. Now, I've seen people comment under people's leg days, so bear in mind they've not even said this is a glute day. This is on TikTok, by the way. They've not even said this is a glute workout, they've just said leg day, and people are commenting telling them how they could, the movements they're doing, the type of deadlift they're doing is wrong for their glutes, the type of this is wrong. And I just think, guys, not every leg day is glute focused, and that's completely fine. It's completely fine. Like, I understand that if you are interested in glute growth, you want to be doing things optimally, but you can't forget your other muscle groups. Like, not every single lunge variation that you do needs to be optimized for your glutes. If you optimize every single lower body exercise that you do to target your glutes more, and you're trying to train 3 times a week on your glutes, I can guarantee that you are going to be putting way too much volume on them, and you would see so much more progress if you stripped it back, because you're not going to be recovering properly. You do not need to tweak absolutely everything to be more optimal for your glutes. Don't forget about your other muscle groups. Now, I know that I focus a lot on glutes because I'm very passionate about it, but I don't neglect my quads, I don't neglect my hamstrings, and in 2022 I'm making a pact to myself to also not neglect my calves because it's getting a little bit embarrassing. But yeah, I appreciate that something like a sumo deadlift might not be optimal for glute growth, but if that's the deadlift variation that someone really loves doing, that's fine. Which brings me on to point number 3, which is, I feel like in 2021 with TikTok and everyone's getting a lot more science-based, which is absolutely amazing. We love to see it. We love more education. The depth of education on social media now is a lot better across the board than it used to be. However, I feel like in the midst of getting so caught up in what's optimal, what's so science-backed, everything needs to be scientific and have a backing behind it, we're forgetting about how important actually enjoying what you're doing is. Now, like I've just said, a sumo deadlift might be someone's absolute favourite form of deadlift. It's one of the exercises that they really look forward to doing at the gym. It's one of the exercises that they love doing. You know, they go into the gym on one of their lower body days or even an upper body day, and that is the movement that gets them out of bed to go to the gym because they want to do that and they love getting strong on it. Now, is it optimal, you know, for hypertrophy, for glutes, etc.? Is it optimal for hypertrophy full stop? Probably not. But does that matter if it's a movement that someone really enjoys? They can optimize their training elsewhere to bias their glutes. They can optimize their training elsewhere to make sure that they are, you know, working towards their goals of muscle growth, if that is what they are intending, of specific muscle groups or anything like that. They can optimize elsewhere, but they need to have bits sprinkled in that are going to bring enjoyment to their training, because guess what, if you do not enjoy your training program, you're never going to progress, because after a week or two you'll give up, because you need to enjoy it. And that's not me saying you're going to love every session and you're going to be obsessed with it and every session is going to be great and you're going to be excited all the time. You're not. That's really unrealistic as well. But you need to have like a level of enjoyment there. If you have a plan that's full of everything is optimal, everything is science backed, but you look at it and you think that looks really boring and I don't want to do it and I know I'm not going to enjoy it, then what's the point? I feel like we need to find a happy medium of doing things that are going to bring us towards our goals, that are going to actually work, and also sprinkling in some bits of fun in there. We need fun. It doesn't all have to be optimal. And what you have to remember when you're critiquing other people's TikTok content or workouts, which is why I personally don't, you know, duet other people's workouts and critique them, or, you know, critique other people's content. I critique my own. I did a video a few weeks ago critiquing my own glute workout from like 2 years ago. But the reason why I don't critique others is because that might be how they enjoy training, and they might not be looking to do everything optimally. Not everyone wants to do everything super science backed, super optimal, and that's completely fine. Some people just want to move their body. Some people might not even have a goal of hypertrophy, and I feel like it's, if someone's doing weight training, it's automatically assumed that they want to build muscle. That might not be the case. It might just be something that's a bit of fun, it gets their body moving, and it's a form of exercise that they enjoy. So yeah, the hyper focus on everything being optimal and super science backed and all that stuff, it's not so much a trend that I would like to see left in 2021, but just one that I would like more balance to be brought to. I'd like to see, I feel like the pendulum's gone that way and it needs to like come back to the middle, because it can't go all the other way and just be all about do what you enjoy and you will get results, because sometimes what you enjoy is not going to be, you know, if you enjoy running and that's what you love doing and you're a marathon runner, but you want to build significant muscle mass, you might need to sit down and think, how important is this goal that I want to achieve compared to what I actually enjoy doing? If I really cannot stand resistance training, is this goal really, you know, compatible? Because you can't just swing it the other way and say just do everything you enjoy, nothing matters. If you have a specific goal, you do need to have an element of, you know, things that actually work towards your goals within your training. But yeah, I just think we need a bit more balance. It's just gone way too far this way. Not to mention, a lot of the people who are doing this science-based content don't actually understand what they are speaking about. They're just regurgitating it or parroting it because they've heard it elsewhere. And it still gets the information out there, which is great, but then it just means that if your followers are then coming to you and, you know, asking for further elaborations, they want a deeper explanation, you can't provide it, or you might end up actually giving out misinformation or the wrong information because you don't truly understand what you are actually talking about. And number 5, to finish this off, which I feel like kind of ties into the comment in JPG coaching under every single person and their dog's TikTok, which is taking one person's opinion as gospel. I am guilty of this. In my first like 2 to 3 years of getting seriously into training, Brett Contreras was the only person I listened to. I was like weirdly protective. I will hold my hands up. If someone sent me a message and they were like, oh, this person's posted this, but it goes against what Brett says, like they're challenging him on it, I'd be like, Brett Contreras is the glute specialist. These people don't know what they're talking about. Only he knows what he's talking about. And that was so wrong of me. Like, I can hold my hands up and say that was so wrong of me, and it's something that I've definitely worked on through 2021, and this is why I kind of want to leave this trend in 2021 so I can continue on my journey of like education and growth, because as a coach I need to expand my knowledge, and I can't just do that based off one person's teachings. Not to mention, people are going to have different opinions, and some people might have more education on certain things than others. So where others might be lacking, you can get that information from someone else rather than just relying on one person. And JPG Coaching encourages this to his followers, which, like I've said, I really respect about him, is when people tag him in things and they say, oh, like, you know, if he's not doing it, I'm not doing it, I take his word as gospel, all that sort of stuff. He says, no, you need to do your own research on top of what I say. Take what I say and then go and do your own research. And I would encourage everyone who watches my content to do the same. Anyone who's consuming fitness content online, I would encourage to take multiple opinions. So if you need some suggestions of people to follow on Instagram, you've got Brett Contreras. You can follow him if you want to. I know that he's not everyone's favourite person, and I totally understand that. You've got Coach Mark Carroll, you've got JPG Coaching over on TikTok. There is a British guy on TikTok and I can't remember his name. If it comes to me, I'll put it in a comment below. You have Coach Isaac. You have content from people like Squat University, who are great for like mobility work sort of stuff. Paul Carter, you have Coach Cass. There's so many people, and I know that I have just named men, so I would actually love for some of you, if you have any like women who you follow on Instagram who do the more like science-based approach, like in depth, you know, they offer actual like information rather than just solely posting workouts. I would actually love to have your suggestions of women to follow, because at the moment I don't really follow any, but that's just because I have not come across any just yet. But I know that they will be out there, because women are smart as hell. It's not just men who know about the fitness stuff, and also women have that knack where they can actually, you know, the information and apply it to women, because women were not the same as men. Like, our bodies don't work the same. We have fluctuations, we have periods, all that sort of stuff. We work very differently, so I would actually love to have some female trainer suggestions for me to follow. Instagram, TikTok, pretty much Instagram or TikTok, YouTube as well. I don't mind watching some longer form content. But yeah, I'm like I've said, I'm guilty of it myself. I used to take Brett Contreras' word as gospel, and I wouldn't listen to anything that went against him. But critical thinking is so important, and you need to question things that people are putting out there rather than just taking it on board and not doing your own further research, or, you know, not critiquing them as a person obviously, but actually just thinking in your head, wait, that doesn't actually, if something doesn't make sense to you, don't just think, oh well, this person knows more than me, so they must be absolutely right. Go and look at what other people have to say on it. Do your own research. Google is free, there's so much information out there, journal articles, all that sort of stuff. If you are looking at supplements, examine.com is a really good website. So yeah, I would like to leave the trend of just taking one person as gospel, or putting one person on a pedestal and making them the like CEO of glutes, or like the CEO of muscle growth, or like the CEO of, you know, gaining weight, losing weight, all that sort of stuff, and actually just using multiple opinions, listening to multiple opinions, applying critical thinking, and educating and expanding your knowledge beyond what just one person has to say. So those would be 5 things. I'm going to pop on the screen, because I did actually do a question box where I asked for like fitness trends that people want to see, and I'll put in some of the ones that people that follow me on Instagram came up with, some of which I've gone over in this video. Some of them are a bit more judgmental and a bit more harsh, and some of them I definitely don't agree with, but you can see if there's any you agree with, and if there is any you agree with, whether I've said it or they're on the screen here, I would definitely be intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments below on any you agree with, any you disagree with, any that aren't mentioned that you have come up with, and your thoughts on anything that I've said in this video, because I'm always up for listening. Yeah, this was probably not as harsh or as savage or as like personal attacky as maybe some people would have wanted out of this video, but it's just not really my cup of tea nor my brand to just attack individuals. So I feel like I've done this video the right kind of way. If there are any other kind of videos that you want to be seen from me this year, definitely let me know, because I am back to trying to do at least one upload a week. Fitness content, more lifestyle content, Q&A sort of things, anything that you want to see, just let me know and I will try and film it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to and you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram if you're not, because when I do like question boxes or polls on what kind of videos that people want to see, that's where I always do them. So that's probably it's also the easiest way to get in touch with me. If you want to ask me a question about anything, you can DM me. I won't always respond in a timely manner, and some DMs get lost and I don't see them, but there is more chance of me responding on there than there is to YouTube comments most of the time. But yeah,